And welcome into Getting Help from Uncle Sam. Well, if you listen to the news, you've heard that the session of the Alabama legislature has come to a halt. It's ended about a week and a half ago. And you might want to know what really happened during that session. So I have with me today Representative Mike Holmes. And basically, you're in the district that represents parts of Elmore County.
Most of Elmore County,
Most of Elmore.
and that's it. I don't have any other counties anymore.
You don't have me anymore.
That's, the district keeps shrinking for one main reason, that our population continues to grow, and we're limited to 45,000 voters in a district.
Now they talked about maybe a special session to take a reapportionment, because basically every 10 years they do the census.
Exactly.
And based on where people are hanging their hats, they can reapportion things.
Yes, and the target in the House is 45,000 voters per House district.
Okay.
So if you're gaining population, then the real estate is going to continue to shrink in the district. Mm-hmm. And that's what's happening. It'll shrink again this time, because I'm convinced we've grown a lot in Elmore County.
Okay.
So
this week I'm going to bring you back next week. This week we're going to talk about things that passed. Okay. And really. And here's the headline, what's the rest of the stories? Things like medical marijuana, things like that, the COVID passport thing, that there's not going to be a COVID passport, or anything else you think that was important to pass.
Sure. You mentioned the passport bill was high on the minds of a lot of my constituents. I got hundreds of calls and emails, and the virtually 80% disagree with the idea of mandatory vaccinations, and particularly having to show a passport to get in any kind of an event or be admitted to any airlines, whatever. And I agree with that. That's a First Amendment right that we do not need to stomp on. We need to keep that active. So we were able to pass that bill. It was close. It was not easy. We were surprised how tough it was to get it through. But that one passed. So we won't be demanding or requiring anybody mandatory vaccinations for COVID.
You don't need another card in your wallet.
Right? That's right.
There's plenty right now.
Yep, I agree. So that's one. What was the other one you just
Medical marijuana.
Medical marijuana is a real life changer in Alabama, in my view, and my view is tied to data from the states that have done it. They start, Colorado, let's use that one for an example, started off, 6 or 7, maybe even 8 years ago, a while back, so they've had some experience by now, with medical marijuana. And initially they said that this will not lead to recreational marijuana. Well, within 3 years, they voted again and passed it, recreational marijuana, and the consequences have been dire. If you look at their data, they're driving under the DUI penalties, just the arrests, and the deaths is the important part, has gone up in the range of 50 to 60%. So that's a huge price to pay for making that recreational marijuana, and that's my concern, that will happen within 3 to 5 years within Alabama. It has everywhere else. They've made it legal. I don't know of an exception to that. It's just that one follows the other. Once you get the one, you get the other pretty soon after that. So that's a concern to me, that with that law in place, that as we passed it, we won't recognize Alabama in 5 years if that follows like the other states.
One of the things that was a part of that bill is when a doctor can prescribe it, and I think one of the things they talked about was depression. Well, an awful lot of people are going to become depressed if they think, okay, doc, I'm depressed, give me that prescription.
Well, to ease your mind a little bit, we eliminated a lot of those diagnoses and amendments toward the end.
Good.
Most of the ones that are fuzzy, that are judgment calls, or you can easily
go one way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah. We wound up with a pretty good list of things that are diagnosable with science, true science, that you can definitively decide if this person is suffering from this, or this, or this. And one of them exactly that I got so many calls on is various cancer pains that are readily diagnosable. So that one stayed on the list, of course. And things like that are on the list that it can be prescribed. You just hit on a point, though, that troubles me, is that we have a good prescription drug supply situation using drugstores and pharmacists in this state,
right,
and mostly in this country. Now, in this bill, we're creating a whole new branch of government to run this. You have to have a ticket to get in and diagnosed, and your doctor has to give you that. Then you go to this new administrative branch of medical marijuana that's going to run this, give you the script you have to go get it, and they will have specific providers scattered around the state where you have to go to get that. You can't go back to your old drugstore and get this. And that's going to just add a whole new level of, and I hate expanding government
Bureaucracy,
above
yeah,
all.
right.
There's just another big bureaucracy
Right.
where we already have the system in place that's working fine. I mean, we allow them, pharmacists, to prescribe or fill prescriptions for opioids. Marijuana seems a lot less threatening than most opioids, so
Right.
I don't understand why the need for that is there. So that's one thing. The whole thing just really is frightening to me for the future.
And we'll be right back right after this.